What's up, everyone? Eddie Mercado here with BloodyElbow.com, and I'm about to speak with Frankie Saenz ahead of his UFC on Fox 20 fight against Eddie Wineland in the UFC bantamweight division. So his last fight was against Uriah Faber in a very close decision. He was very game in that fight. He did rather well, and right now, I believe he is ranked number 13 in the world, and we're going to give him a call and kind of find out what he's been up to since the Faber fight and what he's been doing to get ready for Eddie Wineland.
Hello?
Mr. Frankie Saenz.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? Eddie Mercado here with Bloody Elbow.
How you doing, Eddie?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Now, you got a huge fight coming up with a rather big name in Eddie Wineland. I bet you're pretty excited for it. I'm sure you're super busy getting prepared and whatnot. So thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. Now, man, of course, now everybody knows you were a collegiate wrestler, and that's a natural kind of progression into MMA, as we have seen. Now, was that kind of how you got into the MMA scene through other wrestlers, or exactly how did you come to be a fighter?
You know what? Shoot, back when I was coaching wrestling, I had a couple of buddies of mine who were starting to get into the MMA scene, and they would just call me and ask me if I could help them out with their wrestling, and I'd come in and show them some things, and just kind of fell in love with the sport, started rolling with them, started sparring with them. I'm like, dang, man, I really like this, so it kind of just got me hooked.
Okay. And how did you get the call up to the UFC?
They called me in August. They gave me like a 2-week notice fight. Like kind of how everybody gets in.
Right.
Frank, we got Nolan Thickman for you, 2 weeks. You want it, it's yours. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I stayed training, stayed busy, and when I anticipated a call, and I just happened to be ready.
Okay. Now, were you more nervous for your debut than any of your other fights?
No, I just, I felt ready. My debut, it was a neat experience. I actually got to get on the same card as one of my good friends, Seth Baczynski. And, he just kind of taught me the ropes a little bit while I was out there. I kind of knew what to expect when I was out there. And, I just kind of once you get in the cage, I took care of business.
Okay. Now, like we said, you have the collegiate wrestling experience. Now, where would you rank your wrestling, when you stack it up to the rest of the bantamweight division? Where would you rank yourself as far as wrestling goes?
I didn't really fulfill my potential as far as like a collegiate wrestler. Like once I got into college, the 2-time state champ, All-American coming out of high school, and really had high expectations. And for one reason or another, I just didn't fulfill them. And I kind of had to live through that and come back and start coaching wrestling again. And that's where I really started learning, just kind of how to wrestle and, what I needed to do, I learned like why I wasn't a successful wrestler when I was wrestling, being able to coach, high school wrestlers. I stack up well as far as MMA wrestling. One of my partners is Henry Cejudo, Patrick Williams, he's in the UFC, he's a collegiate wrestler. And I think my wrestling for MMA is, the best in the division.
Okay. Now, in your first 3 bouts, they were very close decisions. Now, before you were in the UFC, 5 of your wins came by finish. Now, why would you say you haven't received a finish yet inside of the UFC?
It's just tougher competition, and I'm always looking to fight the best guys. This will be my third. This is my fifth fight in the UFC, and this will be my third ranked opponent. You know, so I mean, I'm always looking to fight the best guys, and you know, the finish is coming. The finish is coming. You know, I just you know, for one reason or another, it just hasn't happened. But you know, the competition is just, you know, the best in the world.
Okay. Now, I mean, speaking of the best in the world, I mean, your last fight was Uriah Faber, who is, I mean, the guy's legendary. He's done it all, seen it all, did it twice again. Now, I mean, how did you score that fight? Because that's a huge name, you know, with only 3 fights under your belt.
You know, it's just opportunity. You know, I was just I remember reading an article, and that Brian Caraway had pulled out of a potential main event with Uriah Faber. You know, and he couldn't find anybody to fight. You know, was the article. So I called up my manager. I said, "Hey, man, I'll fight Uriah."
Nice.
You know, like, all right. You know, and 2 days later, like, the bout was signed, and you know, it was good to go. You know,
Okay.
so it was just, you know, it was just kind of an opportunity, and I just took advantage of it.
Man, okay, so you went out and you got that fight yourself.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, he said he was having a hard time, you know, finding a fight. I said, man, I'll fight him.
That's awesome.
You know, I didn't realistically think, like, you know, well, I kind of thought, you know, it could happen just because I was ranked. But I was like, man, I don't know. I mean, if he'll take it, let's fight.
Awesome. And I mean, in that fight, you definitely held your own. You definitely had your moments. I mean, there was a moment where you reversed the crucifix, and I'm not sure if I've ever seen someone reverse a crucifix before. And I was like, man, that's wild. Now, considering your performance in that fight, I mean, do you think you should be ranked higher than number 13 if you're in there hanging with, you know, Uriah Faber, who has recently fought for the title?
I mean, I think so. You know, I mean, shoot, for a while, I mean, I beat Uriel Alcantara, and they were ranking him ahead of me for a while. I was like, how do you get ranked below somebody that you know, dominated 30-27 unanimous decision? You know, so, I mean, you know, ever since then, I never really cared for rankings. It's just, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, being able to, you know, that's what you love about MMA, is like you get to fight. You know, so hopefully I'll get a chance, you know, to fight all these guys and make my way to the top.
Okay. Now you got Eddie Wineland on your plate, who is another big name. I mean, he's been around forever. Ample knockouts to his credit. I mean, he's a tough fight. Now, did you seek him out as well, or did the UFC come to you with him?
You know, I told the UFC, hey, man, I want tough guys, you know, tough competition. I want to fight, you know, the best fight you can get, you know, and they gave me Eddie Wineland. So, you know, I mean, Eddie Wineland's a huge name. You know, I have a lot of respect for Eddie Wineland. I've been watching him for years, you know, even before I was even a pro. And, you know, I mean, you know, I fought Uriah, now I'm fighting Eddie Wineland. You know, I mean, I've always seen myself fighting these guys. You know, you watch them on TV, you're like, dang, I would love to fight that guy one day. You know, just out of respect. And, you know, now I get an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So are you doing any kind of special training for him in particular? I mean, obviously you're studying tape on him. I mean, you come up with a specific game plan. Of course, you can't give too much away.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Eddie has a little bit of a different style. You know, so I mean, you know, I've had my teammates just kind of, you know, they kind of mimic what he does, you know, his movement and things like that. But, you know, as far as game plan, I mean, you know, I come with the same one every fight. You know, I think I evolve each fight, and you know, I'm a guy that pushes the pace. You know, I want to see, you know, in the third period, like I want to be the guy that has more energy and is just, you know, going forward.
Okay.
And basically, my strategy is just I'm gonna wear you down.
Yeah, just grind on people. Now, what's it like training with Henry Cejudo?
You know, I mean, it's good. I mean, he's you know, he hasn't been training too much. You know, he's been in a little bit, you know, since the last fight. But I hadn't really had a chance to train with him for this fight. But I mean, he's a tough wrestler. I've known Henry. My dad actually used to be his coach when he was a kid, club and kids club. So I've known Henry and his family for a long time. Since he was in the 5th grade.
Oh wow!
But I mean, he's a tough guy. I watched him win a gold medal. So it was kind of like family.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we when we get in there, we spar, we get in, we get after it. But we're buddies, so we shake hands afterward, and just like any good partner, any good teammate.
Awesome. Now, do you got a prediction for this upcoming fight against Wineland?
I mean, I think there's going to be fireworks. I mean, Eddie Wineland's coming to fight. He hasn't fought since last year. And it's in his backyard. Chicago. And his hometown. So I know he's coming to scrap. I'm coming to scrap, and I think it has a potential fight of the night bonus written all over it.
Yeah, it should be fireworks for sure. Now, recently, as of today, the UFC was sold. Like, it's official now. Have you heard about that yet?
Yeah.
Now,
we got an email.
What are your thoughts on the company changing hands, and do you think it's good for the company, bad for the company, and what things do you think are going to change?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know too much that's going to change. I mean, Dana White's still going to have his position. I think one of the Fertitas is completely out, but the other one's going to stay on, and they're still going to have some sort of ownership of the company, partial ownership of the company. So, I mean, if they keep everything intact, like I don't see too much of a change. To be honest. I guess I'm just gonna have to wait and see, like everybody else.
Okay, so it doesn't concern you at all?
No, I mean, I think, I mean, they've built, a huge global, brand, and the new company coming in, hopefully they can, take it to where it hasn't been, which. I don't know where else they can go, as far as just putting it out, just making it more global. But I mean, it seems like a good move.
Okay. Yeah, it's I mean, like you said, we'll all find out. Who knows exactly what it means for anybody, or if the changes will be or further down the line, or they're going to be a little more soon. We don't really know. But
yeah, I don't know what to expect. I mean, I read an email this morning, saying they sold it, and I really, I had practice this morning. I really hadn't had the chance to really think about it. But I mean, what can I do? I just go out there and fight.
Now, this is your 5th fight coming up. Now, are you approaching the end of your contract, or are you kind of fresh into a new contract?
Yeah, actually, they renewed my contract after my 3rd fight, and so Uriah was my first contract or first fight on my new contract.
Okay.
So I got a fight. So this is my 2nd fight on my new contract.
Okay, so the company changing hands isn't going to affect your re-signing with the UFC.
No, at least not, not for a couple more fights.
Okay. Well, do you have any shout outs or thank yous you want to give out there to anybody?
Yeah, just my supporters that, always support me. Western Concrete Pumping, Scenic Industries, Trent Cotney, and, my gym, Fight Ready. These guys are just, even though we haven't been able to do the banners and things like that, but, these guys just continue to support me, and, I've just grown, built great friendships with these guys and these companies.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to give a shout out because I appreciate those guys.
Cool deal, man. Now, what are you have like a Twitter handle or Instagram, or how can people find your content?
Yeah, Twitter handle is at Frankie Saenz, and I got Instagram at Panchanch, Panch.
Panch. Awesome. Cool, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking out the time from your busy schedule to talk to me. And best of luck to you against Eddie Wineland, UFC on Fox 20. I mean, it's going to be good. July 23rd. Thank you so much, sir.
I appreciate it, Eddie. Thank you.
You have a good one.
You too.
So there you have it. Frankie Saenz, the number 13 bantamweight in the UFC. He's set to take on Eddie Wineland, who is currently ranked number 15 at UFC on Fox 20, July 23rd, 2016. Now, for all your coverage of the event, you can check out bloodyelbow.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheEddieMercado. And go be a good person.